And good morning, everybody. Good Monday morning, the 6th day of November. So glad you're out there and tuned in to this, the 2 best hours of local live talk radio right here in East Mississippi and West Alabama. We're off and running on this Monday, and who are we? Well, I'm Roger B. Say hi to. Here he is, donning his Eagles shirt today. It's my main man, Rob.
Yeah, because I got another job I got to go to later. You know how it is.
You join the club with Charles and I.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Okay. How many jobs does it take to make a living? All right. Let's say hi to. He is bivocational himself. Say hi to Charles Frazier.
Bivocational? Okay, we'll go with that.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing dirty about that.
It sounds a little rude. I was like, wait a minute here.
Nothing dirty. I'm just saying that you do a couple of different jobs.
Heterovocational. Well, that's true, but this is more of a hobby.
Yes.
I guess the other one's really, it's more of a job. It's kind of a way of life.
Your patrons would hope that, yes.
Yeah. My second home, pretty much.
Your second home, that's right.
This is my third.
Okay, so speaking of your first home, I'm assuming you mean the one where you and Trish and the dogs get together at the end of the day.
Kids. Yeah.
That's good.
One kid. One we only have left. Got rid of the other two.
Yeah. Were you able to get all your clocks turned back?
No, I did a few. I did the coffee. That was important. So I didn't bruise at the appropriate time.
Did the coffee one? Okay. What about Rob? Did you get your clocks turned back?
Yeah, everything was good. Most of our clocks, because with the phones already do them, and we have a couple of clocks that automatically do that. So
fancy.
It was probably we had stove and microwave, I think, and one wall clock, and that was it.
Oh, we don't set the microwave clock. It's just whatever. I don't even know what time it's on.
Yeah, I know we've got probably about 4 that have to be reset or 5. And
yeah,
you do them all?
There's one outside that has no battery in it, so we just don't worry about it. It's just
because it's always wrong. Well, no, I guess it's right twice a day.
Right twice a day. That's right.
I got to reset that one.
Oh, yeah, the
We're
studio.
Almost done. Okay.
Oh, it's 10
the quickest 2 hours.
10 after 8. How about that?
The whole thing back an hour is okay. I think I would have much preferred going back like a week. I think that would have been fine.
10 years, maybe?
Yeah, maybe set back then. Our number here is 601-485-9191. Let's see, we've got a caller ringing in here, and we're going to get to that phone. Let's just go right to it. What do you say?
We'll do it.
We have a lot to talk about today. We got guests coming on the show. We're going to have let's announce the guests that are coming up, and then we're going to go to our phone caller. But first off, coming up on the show,
we got Ward Calhoun at 7:30. Of course, Republican candidate for Lauderdale County Sheriff. 8 o'clock or a little after 8, after the news, we'll have Ty Pinkins in studio. Of course, a Democrat running for Secretary of State, and then
state office.
Yeah, and then 8:30, we'll have Michael Cassidy, who's running for State House 45. Will be stopping by to see us. So, political Monday.
And people are thinking, State House 45, where is it?
Where's that?
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, it's fun. Look up the map, and you'll see how do they draw these maps. You're showing the clock there. All right, let's go to the phones. Good morning, caller. Welcome to our show. How are you today?
Better than I deserve.
We have Dave Ramsey here on the show with us. Thank you for checking
Thanks
in.
for calling again. Yeah.
Thanks for crossing networks and calling in to us here.
Buy low and sell high.
There it is.
There you go.
Charles, is this your avocation?
I don't know about that. It's sort of a hobby is what I'd call it, but, I guess we'd call it an avocation.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I don't know if I have an avocation.
We call it the 2 hours that his wife doesn't have to sit him, take care of him.
Kick me out of the house, that's right. Go do something.
That's good. That's good. Have you heard the term death to America, death to Israel?
I've heard that most of my adult life.
Yeah, well, it originated kind of in Iran and then bled over into Yemen and other areas. And it just amazes me why we would fund in any form or fashion a nation who quite often chants that death to America and death to Israel. Why would you fund any government, any entity that wants to destroy you and eliminate you?
Now, you're talking about Iran?
Well, I'm talking about Iran. I'm talking about Hamas. I'm talking about Hezbollah. Yeah. I'm talking about Yemen.
I hope we haven't sent any money to Hamas. Have we done that?
Have we
Well, I
done
think we
what?
send aid to Gaza. I think the UN sends a lot of aid to Gaza. So
The
indirectly
UN.
to,
Do you think Hamas gets any of that money?
not much, or Hamas gets all of it. The Gazans don't get any. I mean,
Exactly.
that's
They
the
are
reality
the
of
ruling
it.
party, aren't they?
Of course.
In Gaza?
Yep.
That they are.
They're
And,
elected by a whopping 38, 40%, something like that. So.
And this humanitarian aid that's going in, I'll guarantee you the humans in need probably won't get much of it.
All right, now you bring up a good point there about Hamas and the rulership of Gaza. Now, follow me on this. If the people in Gaza are doing without because Hamas has been overseeing them for so many years, and their resources are depleted, and they have a hard time with making a living and everything else, why do pro-Palestinians protest about the elimination of Israel when it seems obvious that Gazans would be much better off if Israel was in charge?
You're totally right there.
So what's the whole point of this gathering in Washington? You got American protesters and people from all over, and who knows where they come from. Probably half of them government employees that want something to do on the weekend.
Have you ever heard a demonstration in the United States say death to the Palestinians?
No.
How about Israel? Have they ever shouted that out? Or
Just other Palestinians.
Have we ever had a protest where we shouted death to anybody?
Good point.
I mean,
and the thing about it is, there was no warning when Hamas attacked Israel, but Israel dropped leaflets and everything to warn those people what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let me call your attention to one other thing, and I'll get out of the way.
Now you started asking a lot of questions, but what answers do you want to add to those questions you asked? You brought questions up, so give us your answers.
I'll be glad to.
Yes.
I think that the negotiations with Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, Yemen, any other entities, be it government or be it military or whatever, should end from our perspective. We should not get in the way of Israel or anybody else that tries to destroy these people, because it's just unconscionable what they've done.
Yeah.
And now they're trying to say that Israel is the aggressor or the guilty party, and it's just not something that I can accept.
Well, I think that we can look at it and say, okay, that Israel has the moral high ground and that they certainly are justified in going in. But I think that, unfortunately, they are not winning the PR war. And, I don't know. This is sort of a weird take on a war when you've got to, when you're beholden to the opinion of the world opinion. I mean, for example, in World War II, if this same climate existed and we dropped the bomb, there would be outrage. I mean,
we did drop a bomb.
Well, I know that, but if we did it in this climate, I guess is what I'm saying.
And
if
it ended the war too.
It sure did. No, and yeah, I mean, we can't.
Why should they be? Why should they be worried about PR? Is what I'm trying to say.
Well, because look at the reaction around the world and what's happening to other Jewish citizens around the world, and I think that's got to be a concern of the Israeli government.
So give in to the PR and let them take you over.
I don't know if you give in, but I think you need to be able to present it maybe in a different light. I don't think that they have. I wouldn't say marketed the war very well, but certainly the public sentiment throughout the world seems to be against the Israelis, and I think that we can look at it a little bit more objectively and say that yes, they are probably. Well, no, they are definitely doing the right thing by going in there and destroying Hamas, but. The world doesn't see it that way. And so what is the solution? I guess it's more of a question than an indictment on what they're doing. But how do they win that battle?
I don't know that they're interested in winning that battle.
Ooh, I bet they are.
They're interested in winning is the one that they're fighting with Hamas. And that's the way it ought to be. If we worry about what the world thinks, when we know what's right, we get ourselves in deep, deep, up to our neck.
Yeah, I
You
know
know
where
what?
I know where you're headed.
And that's fine, but what's the long game? Israel will never be legitimized if this is the play that they're going to pursue. If you see what I'm saying, where are we going to be in 10 years? I don't think that anybody in the Arab nation in that part of the world is going to ever have recognition of Israel as a state. And so this is going to just continue and continue. I mean, it'll never end and just get worse. It's going to fester, and it's not going to improve.
So Israel should just lay down.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what really should they do? I mean, what's the end result? What
is your solution?
I don't have one. I'm just concerned that they are losing that battle, and where does it go down the road? 10, 15, 20 years down the road, where are we going to be?
Well, I'm all for Israel wiping out Hamas. I'll just be honest with you.
No doubt.
Whatever it takes.
I agree. What they did was reprehensible.
Because you know what Hamas does.
Mm-hmm.
They put their own citizens in harm's way.
Mm-hmm.
They build structures on the hospitals. It's just, it drives me crazy to think that they're doing to their people what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think the Israeli army going to go in. They're going to destroy as much of the capabilities that the Hamas has had out of Gaza, and it's probably going to die down eventually. It's going to be quiet, and then it'll be a chance for whoever to regroup again and then come at Israel again, like you said. But it'll die down, and it'll be.
Well, let me say
it'll
this:
be quiet.
Hamas gave no warning when they slaughtered Israelis and Americans now.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, and took hostages.
And Israel gave them plenty of warning. Move south, they said.
Oh yeah.
Drop leaflets. They tried to communicate. They waited and they waited and they waited.
Mm-hmm.
And I just can't. But anyway,
what did you think about the large protest in Washington, the pro-Palestinian protest?
It blows my mind to see it and see what's happening in our country.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. But let me change subjects real quick.
Okay.
Now, you told me to give you some answers to
Yes,
those
and
questions.
I did, and I appreciate that, by the way.
But this Russell Latino does the Magnolia Tribune. And if you want some good information, you go and read his article where Brandon Presley's funding is coming from. It's very interesting. And I'll say this and I'll hang up. If you're pro-life, why do you want to be in a party that's not? Y'all have a great day.
Okay, there you go. Think I know how he's going to vote tomorrow. It is voting day tomorrow, isn't it?
That's right.
Mornings in Meridian, we want to say, first of all, vote for our customers before any. You get to vote every day for the people that help us on our show and help keep us on the air. And I want to say a big thank you to Doc's Toyota. Go vote for them.
That's right, just up the road in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Go see them. The best way to check them out is online, docstoyota.com, listing all their inventory, 2023 Camrys, Tacomas, 4Runners, Tundras, Highlanders, Corollas, you name it. If Toyota makes it, they've got it, and they got plenty of them. They also have a huge selection of pre-owned inventory, and all of the pre-owned inventory has been through the rigorous multi-point Toyota inspection process, so you know it's a good quality car. They're, of course, conveniently located on Highway 16 West in Philadelphia, Mississippi, or check them out online, docstoyota.com. You can give them a call, 601-781-8017. There is no deal
like a Doc's deal. That's right. Mornings in Meridian. Let's take another phone call. Good morning. Welcome to our show.
Old Pinkins over there in the Middle East, he's been over there so many times trying to make them have a ceasefire. He's been to Turkey, every Muslim country you could think of making deals. They don't tell how many billions he's giving away now. And just deal after deal after deal. And just everything's hurting. They saying look like they're just against Israel, this administration, which they are. And so I don't know what's going to happen. They said the other day they was talking about all these protesters in Washington and all over the country. And they said, well, look at Arizona. Millions of people. They think it might be 15 million. They said they got more Muslims in Arizona right now than they do that's causing trouble in some other states, and they just like flying all over the place. So we're running all ourselves. So thank you, Democrats. Thank you. Bye.
Wow. That says a lot right there. Mornings in Meridian, you too can be part of the show. 601-485-9191. I guess our border is still quite porous in the south. People still coming over, and who knows. I know that we talked about the demonstration in Washington. There was talks about people being bused from all over to be part of that.
Who paid for that?
I don't know.
George!
Soros. Okay. Yeah, he just likes watching mayhem, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Creating a little bit. Yeah.
Yep.
Been doing that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And he probably gets more backing or gives more backing to the Democrat Party.
You think? The whole thing, I don't get it defies logic, and I guess it probably should, because these people are not logical or sane, maybe. But you talk about it's all about diminishing or doing away with hate, right? Oh, you can't hate this group, or this group, but it's okay to hate this group, and being the Jews, and it's really ugly. I mean, the vitriol out there is disgusting.
I like the word vitriol. That's it. That is accurate.
And you think, where is this coming from? They're talking about a lot of the same people with the BLM movement and things of that nature that are all about you cannot discriminate against this group, but yet they are the ones promoting this on their own terms. So that, and for them it's okay, but for everybody else it's not, and it doesn't make sense. It defies any logic.
If you're an organization that has a shield you can hide behind, that's great. But you get to go and attack others, and seems to be with popular support.
Yeah.
Well, did you notice it was yesterday? It was this morning actually. They had one of the reporters in there just basically asking questions of the protesters, and they were asking, well, what about Hamas? I mean, do you support Hamas? And they paused and basically switched it into just nothing but Israel talk. So it was like they
didn't
couldn't
even answer.
So I was like, doesn't that sound familiar? They can't give a clear answer to anything.
The history of Hamas is not just October 7th. It goes back decades. And, of course, Hezbollah and various other, the PLO. I mean, terrorist attacks constantly. I mean, the Israelis were in a heightened state of alert they have been for 75 years now. And so to look at that and say, oh, it's just kind of one event and this is the Israeli response. No, this has been years in the making, and multiple buses blown up, military bases, all kinds of things, rockets fired constantly from Gaza. I mean, they have been under attack for a long time. This attack obviously was much more severe and horrible the way that it was carried out.
And also, in my opinion, what's getting lost in this whole thing is our American soldiers who continue to get attacked over there in Iraq, and our government there's nothing being done because everyone's just kind of all up in arms, just kind of tense. But if there is a reaction, what's going to happen? Because we know who's behind that.
Well, and Hezbollah has actually came out and made a statement that said we are going to attack Americans, and so at that point we should be bombing Hezbollah.
Exactly.
They have declared war on us. Hey, let's do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, we hadn't.
But
we're negotiating.
But we have a sign of weakness and leadership, and there will be nothing that'll ever be done about it. Well, I mean, it's not just one; it's everybody from top all the way down. So that nothing will ever be done. I feel bad for those American soldiers that are over there. Basically, feel like they're on an island by themselves, and there's no help coming. So,
well, I think there's a lot of support in the Med. So there are some things in place. I think we just
there's a show of support.
And that's sometimes all you need.
Yeah,
a show of strength, but. I don't know that Hezbollah and Hamas will look at that as anything that's intimidating or any reason to stop.
No, I'm not going to phase them at all.
But it does mean the resources are there to attack very quickly if need be. But, unfortunately, what's going to spur on an attack is a major attack on U.S. forces somewhere.
Well, right now, I'm sure that the United States is hoping that Israel will be the ones out there eliminating, surgically eliminating people connected with Hamas and going through and destroying their infrastructure and things like that without harming as many without harming many civilians. Sometimes
No, and I
that's
think
not
they
gonna
have
be
been
helped.
very good about that so far. But there's going to be some.
But that's
civilian
part of that
casualties.
PR that has to be put out there that this is the way, and they're trying. I mean, they're on the TV all the time talking about what they're going to do, and giving plenty of warning to Hamas. So it's like, I don't I don't know what more you could do when you respond to somebody who's attacked you. So anyway, mornings in Meridian. We're going to be talking some local politics here in just a little bit because we have Chief Deputy Ward Calhoun coming on. He's candidate for sheriff and Republican candidate. Looking forward to his visit. Also, we're going to be having Ty Pinkins in here talking. He's running for Secretary of State on the Democrat ticket. And back in the political fray is, of course, Michael Cassidy. He came to fame when he came close to unseating Michael Guest as a Republican candidate in the U.S. representative.
Had to go let that Calhoun fella in the building.
Well,
if the deputy sheriff comes a knocking, you open the door.
I had to go let him in. I didn't want to get in trouble.
well, I think it's good
It's
for
one of those
people
big
to know.
things to break down the door, right?
Don't you think it's kind of good that people know that we don't just give them access to the building? I mean,
That's right.
They have to come in just like everybody else.
That's right.
Probably should give them access.
Pants on one leg at a time.
Yeah, that's it.
You'll have to make the biscuit negotiation
Oh, biscuit.
if he is to come out on top tomorrow.
Well, what were we going to say, Charles?
No, I was going to say where to get good biscuits.
Oh.
We'll talk about that later.
No, let's talk about when we come back where we can get some good biscuits. All right. Might have to negotiate the biscuits after the show, so there's no.
I don't think we don't have any negotiating points, do we?
government building like that. So.
And what time is that?
10 o'clock. 10 o'clock. So I was getting, making sure I had all my stuff, and I'm standing in the closet, and I was frustrated. I couldn't decide what to wear, and I just grabbed a bunch of stuff and walked out. My wife was already awake. I said, "Here, honey, pick something out." And we worked down to 2, and we got down to this blue sweater, and I said, "I'm pretty sure that's what I wore when I went the first time, so I might as well go the last time."
Consistency.
Well, we didn't have any video then, so now people can actually see what you're wearing. But anyway, glad you're here. And
if I hadn't told, nobody would have known.
There we go, right?
Oh, well.
So you tell me 2 things you've learned on the campaign trail that you probably didn't know before you started this campaign for sheriff.
Two things.
Yeah, a couple of things.
Wow, I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah, see, these start out with a hard. The questions
good,
only get harder from here.
Oh, that'd be fine. The two things that I have learned, probably one is that Lauderdale County, when you get out and walk around in it, is even bigger than just driving around in it.
Okay. Which you've been walking the streets and the roads. And
well, right, just getting around. Lauderdale County is a big county.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be one thing. And one is the diversity of people we have. It's a lot more diverse than you would think. That and how many people work from home. I found that out, out taking time off, going door to door. How many people actually, I met there's an engineer in our community who works for NASA. I thought the guy was kidding me.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Till he opened, he said, "Right here's my office." And he opened the door, and there's all these big screens and his desk and big NASA plaque kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, how does one get to Meridian, Mississippi? And he said, "We do everything by computer." I mean, my team, he said, "I occasionally have to travel, but not often." And he had met someone here, and they'd got married, and so here he was.
Wow.
Working for NASA out of Meridian, out of Lauderdale County.
How about that?
Excellent. So this and from what I have observed is you did a lot of door-to-door contact especially in the primary campaign.
Correct. And, it was more targeted. We tried to work smarter, not necessarily just harder, trying to get in touch with those voters, people who we knew were voters. One of the things, if there's a frustration, and that's your next question, you have frustration about campaigns, is and we see this across our country, the apathy. People that don't go vote. It's frustrating. I was raised in a family where it was important. Mom and dad made sure that we talked about, how things worked and about who they were voting for and why and those kind of things. And, I've always been a voter, and I've always been engaged to some degree, either at least made myself knowledgeable about candidates. I'm one of these weird ones. I won't vote for something that if I don't know, I just won't vote. So through the years, I've gotten sample ballots or gotten it out of the paper, and I tried to, more than just the ads, but know something as best you can. In today's world, with all the information we have, you can do that a lot better than you could, 20 years ago.
Yeah. So when you say work smarter, I'm guessing you just didn't go to doors that of people who haven't voted in years and things like that.
Well, Lauderdale County's too big. There's just absolutely no way to go to every single door, and that wouldn't be very effective. There are a lot of people that aren't even registered to vote. That's the other surprise to me was. Because
so you've learned a lot of them.
I have learned a lot.
I just asked for 2. He's given us almost 5 already.
I'm getting more. You can get the voter rolls. That doesn't tell you who someone voted for, but you can certainly determine whether or not they're a registered voter. And there are a lot of people who are not in our community.
There were people that were expecting that you were going to obviously have a close race with the challenger that you had, Mr. Ricky Roberts, and of course it was you worked hard and he worked hard. The margin of victory, I think, was surprising by a lot of people. And so I want to ask you this question because this is a rumor that I have heard from more than one person from more than 2 camps. I mean, this is like coming from different directions. And I don't know if it goes back to the way politics was done in the 60s or what have you, but let me just ask it this way. How did you deliver the cash to the black pastors so you could get the black congregations to vote for you?
First of all, that did not occur. Not that I have absolutely zero knowledge about, and I'll just say it didn't occur because that would be a violation of the law, and I don't operate that way. It'd be first, and anybody that has direct information, if someone did that, I would encourage them to contact the Attorney General's office, just like I do about a lot of times. You see it on Facebook, or I will on occasion have someone who makes accusations about law enforcement in general, and I'm quick to give the phone numbers out and say there are people who watch us. That's what their job, part of what their job is, and you should contact them. And through the years, I don't know that anybody ever has, because many times people want to make things up, or they just think something happened a certain way just because for whatever reason it makes them feel better to spread these kind of rumors. And that's just part of politics, and I understand that. But the answer is there was no money changed hands that I'm aware of at all. And if someone did, it would be illegal. And if I knew about it, I would have reported it. I don't believe that happened.
Well, there you have it, folks. For all of you rumor mill people out there that like spreading stuff, maybe you can sit there and say, well, that they're going to, they may think this is an obvious response from you, but I wanted you to be able to tell our listeners yourself exactly answer that specific rumor that's out there, which I think is, if we want fair races, so no matter who's running, no matter who's there, and so I just want to throw that out there, folks.
Yeah, I wanted everyone's vote, and the way you do that is ask everybody for their vote. When you get right down to it, I want to think that it's more about people looked at the candidates, made a determination about who they thought would be the best candidate to represent them for the next 4 years as their sheriff.
And I just want people to know, too, that you have not once promised us biscuits if you're going to come on the show here. That you haven't even promised to come on the show the next, should you be elected a sheriff. So you haven't made any promises to us either here. So just want to let them know that.
I haven't promised anything. You been promised anything?
I never even got a biscuit, so I don't even know. I'm still kind of hungry.
Here we go.
Stomach's growling. I'm like, oh, great, whatever.
The irony, a man who owns a restaurant.
Oh, here we go. All right.
Yeah.
Any other questions, gentlemen? I just wanted to hit them with that one.
Yeah, I think it's a fair question. I think that rumor mill's been out there. I'm glad set the record straight. Bottom line,
it's hard-hitting journalism, right?
That's
here.
right.
Yeah. I hadn't heard that rumor.
Well,
so but I don't listen to rumors anyway.
You hang with a lot higher.
I don't hang with anybody. That's the thing.
Well, that might be why you don't hear rumors.
Right,
if you start hanging with people,
I don't want to hang with people. Yeah, this is my hanging with people right now.
All right. Any questions for the candidate?
No, I think we talked about it when you first announced, but the direction, the kind of trajectory of the sheriff's department obviously has been very strong. And do you intend to change anything, tweak anything? Kind of what's going to be what does your first year look like, assuming you are elected tomorrow?
We have a lot of challenges that we've had. I've been talking about this throughout the campaign. The biggest challenge we have is to attract and hire and then retain quality employees. You can have every program, every bell and whistle, every new toy out there. If you don't have good, competent personnel to execute the mission, you are in trouble. And we see this all across our country in law enforcement circles. My emails, nearly every day I'm getting somebody doing a seminar about these kinds of topics. And so that's something we're focusing on. We've got something we're in the works with now, hope to have kind of rolled out here in the next month or so, assuming everything goes well on Tuesday. If it doesn't, somebody else can deal with that because I won't be there. But, the focus for us in this first year will be to, one will be that. Second, we will tweak a few things. We have to figure out, we have the mission to accomplish. Who are the personnel we have? What are their strengths? Where's the best place to plug those strengths in for us to ultimately accomplish the mission? So there'll be some minor personnel changes, but minor, have no plans to terminate anybody. Zero. We'll talk about what expectations are and about, where people fit into our organization, and the fact that we're servants of the people. That's what we do. And so we have a mission to accomplish, and that's to, enforce the laws of our state, keep people as safe as possible, to be proactive where we can, to be appropriately reactive when we have to. Part of what we do is just always going to be reactive. People are going to call 911. We're going to respond, and how we do that and the manner in which we do that. I want us to be as efficient and effective as possible. Guys, here's the hard thing for me. Sheriff Solly's been that leader all these years who has modeled that. This is not like Ward figured this out. I've watched this play out, all these years. And there's not really a lot of changes. We will just continue to change with as we get new technology, as we get new avenues of revenue, whatever it is, we will adjust to keep the mission going. So that's a long answer to should be probably a lot shorter. But
Mornings
You got
in
extra
Meridian.
credit for that one. I
Get
think.
extra credit.
Yeah.
That's good because we have a caller on the line. You have a comment or question for the candidate, sir?
Yeah, a couple of things. I'm a witness to no bribery. I witnessed he didn't bring y'all biscuits, so bribery hadn't started. So.
No
There you go.
biscuits.
Thank you. Yes. we
Fortunately
got-
not. Yeah.
Question for Sheriff-elect. Who's going to be your chief deputy?
Good question.
the everything is still in the planning phases right now. We'll get through tomorrow, and then we'll have some announcements. Making the assumption when tomorrow we'll have some announcements in the near future.
Okay.
That was still a good
that's
question,
good.
though.
It seems
Well,
to be the
second
popular
thing-
question.
Well, it is because think of your position through the years. I mean, you've basically been the face of the sheriff's department for quite some time, so that's an important position as far as I'm concerned. Second thing, look, I'm not going to do no trick question. Everybody listening, get out and vote, and listen. For people that's not, and I've said it before, people that, their favorite candidate may not be the Republican in the race, but listen, the best outcome for every aspect of our life is vote Republican, period. The other side is worse, I promise you. So everyone get out and vote. I suggest voting Republican, but I'm listening in, guys.
All right. Thank you for
Appreciate it.
thank you for the phone call. You too. If you have a question for the candidate, we've got a couple minutes left. 601-485-9191. We are visiting with, and rightfully so, we remind folks that you are a candidate for sheriff, not necessarily sheriff-elect. We'll know more tomorrow night, most likely.
Republican nominee.
There we go. The nominee.
Republican nominee for sheriff for Lauderdale County. Very good. All right. As you move toward election day tomorrow, what are some things that you want to make sure our listeners hear from you that maybe you haven't had a chance to, you go door to door and all the rest, but here you now have the microphone. What is it that you want your constituents here in Lauderdale County to hear?
I'm asking that they vote for me to put the investment that they have placed in me through all these years into practice. For 27 and a half years now, I have served at the Lauderdale County Sheriff's Department, and I want to continue serving. I've said this from the very beginning. I just want to keep doing the job. During the campaign, I had an interesting happened early on, and going door to door. I had a gentleman had his bib overalls on. We were out in Lauderdale County, and we were talking. And after a few minutes, he said, "You're not much of a politician, but I think you're a pretty good lawman." I told him that was a great compliment in my book. I'm not looking to be a politician in the sense. Look, politics are part of this. That's just the way it works. But I've always looked at this as a job interview, and the voters are the ones who get to say yay or nay. Yes, we think you're that person who best fits what we need. And so as a job interview, I've tried to put my best foot forward. I've tried to talk about, my qualifications, my training, my experience, and now I want to take that the people and that Sheriff Solly has entrusted with me all these years and just put that into play. I am excited. I'll be honest. I'm a little nervous. I was joking with him the other day, and I said I've been talking with AT&T, and they're working on putting a special line to your house. There'll be a red phone,
The Solly phone.
But
Hotline.
of course, these days I don't even know if they have a red phone at the White House anymore. I don't know how that works. Probably not. Probably got a cell phone, and that's a great thing. It's not like he's not going to be in our community, and he has been very. He is in the process of you don't just turn that off. I mean, he's been doing this for a long time, but he's working on getting ready to go to his next mission, and I think he's going to be doing some fun things.
I was going to ask you that. I mean, 9, 10 o'clock tomorrow night. I mean, once it's all said and done, if this goes your way, I mean, is it going to hit you right between the eyes that you could be the new sheriff of Lauderdale County? I mean, that's I mean, after all this time, Solly's been the man, and
Right. Well,
I mean, that's going to be kind of a surreal moment, I would imagine.
It will be, and I'm appreciative of the fact that he has invested in me as a person. I'm an older brother. I have a younger brother.
Yeah.
He's been my older brother when you get right down to it. I mean, there's 10 years difference in us, and he's been that older brother to me. When I needed a bop on the head, I got it. When I when I was down and needed lifting up, he did that, and he's
So
been,
he actually bopped you on the head?
No,
Oh,
he didn't
okay.
do the on NCIS when Gibbs, he does the old Gibbs slap. No, he didn't do that. The sheriff has
No slapping.
He has an uncanny way to put on paper. Everybody hates to get the letter.
Oh, boy.
If you're involved in a motor vehicle crash in your vehicle and you're at fault and you haven't had a previous one in 12 months, you get the letter, and he has a way of making you feel like you're about a half an inch tall, and so he's real good with that. And most people want to try to do well, so they don't get that. So that's the positive side of that. But he's going to be around. We have been building leaders in our department for years. We got great people there. I'm one of the most amazing things to me is that at a local level, we're able to keep the caliber of people that we have, and those are the kind of caliber of people we're trying to attract. And so I'm excited personally about having the opportunity now to continue doing that and to grow others. One of the things that I've learned from him, and he said this is not recently, this is years ago, is that chair that whoever the sheriff is sits in, they don't own that chair. The people give them that chair to sit in for 4 years. So I'm mindful of that, and he's been mindful of that, and so it has been an incredible experience, and I'm excited for it. Looking forward to a positive outcome tomorrow. I believe we worked hard, and I believe people will make that choice. If that does happen, we'll be ready to move starting on Wednesday morning.
All right. Well, one thing I want to say about, how you understand that the people give you that seat to sit in. I'm a nobody, but I have had the privilege of having your cell phone number and the sheriff's cell phone number, and invariably, if I've ever, and I try not to abuse that by, pestering you, but invariably, if I've had a question or I want to make a call or a text, both of you have been very expeditious in responding or answering the phone, and I just want to say thank you for you didn't have to do that, and I appreciate that. So, I'm sure probably Rob can say the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
In today's world, where information, right, wrong, or indifferent, can get spread throughout the community, we've always, talked about the fact of making sure that we get good, accurate information to the media as quickly as possible. And all the media, they have our numbers. Yeah. I get texts, phone calls, weekend nights, it is whenever. And that's part of it, that. And I'd rather be available and answer questions about things and get answers if I don't have them than I had to try to do damage control on the backside and have to correct things. Because once something gets out there, sometimes it's very difficult to turn it around.
All right. Well, now, having said that, if one of your deputies pulls over an SUV, for example, a white SUV,
here we go.
with license number KSP 428, Lauderdale County,
That's your license plate?
Starts with a K? That doesn't make sense.
and they're going to write him a ticket, say for no seatbelt. And if that person called you and say, "Hey, your deputy's behind me," what would you instruct your deputy to do?
Well, I wouldn't instruct them to do anything. They're doing their job. I'm not going to call them and bother them while they're in the course of their work.
Right.
There you go.
You're not getting out of the ticket, Roger. That's what he's
Hey,
saying.
if it makes you feel any,
just wanted to hear that, okay?
Right.
Just wanted to see what he was doing with
Put
that.
the belt on.
if it makes you feel any better, my oldest son, a while back, he called one night, and I already knew about it because my brother had his radio on and heard the tag come back, and the deputy had stopped my oldest son. He did something stupid, following another driver, stupid. And I told my kids, you never say who I am. If you're asked who's your parents, you certainly tell them because they've asked you a question, but you never say anything else. And don't let me find out from them about your traffic stop.
Ooh.
So he was calling and telling me, and when he came in the door, he walked in, and he was coming from his grandparents' Monday night football. Halftime, he wanted to watch the game. We used to eat supper over there with them, so we watched the rest of the game. He was coming home and passed on a double yellow line behind another car who passed a car because they were driving really slow. 2 deputies, 2 tickets, and he went to court and went to the driving program. But
Wow. There
they
you
ran
have
him
it,
a ticket.
folks.
He deserved it. He earned that one.
Well, I sure am not going to expect any favors, that's for sure.
Bingo.
All right. No kidding. Wish you the best. Ward Calhoun, candidate, Republican nominee for Sheriff, Lauderdale County.
Thank you, sir.
Wish
Y'all
you the
have a
best
great
tomorrow.
rest of the day.
All right.
When we come back, we'll have Ty
Pinkins, yeah.
Pinkin. All right. Stay tuned.
The heat is on.
We're back. It's the second hour of the two best hours of Mornings in Meridian. Coming to you after the time change yesterday. I guess we fell back an hour. But now this is the second hour. We're glad you're out there, tuned in to this, it's Mornings in Meridian on 102.1 FM. I'm Roger, along with Rob Atkinson.
Hey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Also, Charles Frazier's in the house.
Yep.
And we have a guest to announce here in just a moment. But first, we want to remind you that whenever that rock hits your windshield, whenever something happens to your auto glass, it needs repaired, there's one place to go, one place we recommend, and that's A&A Glass.
That's right. And if you're crossing double yellow lines, it's important to be able to see the sheriffs
no, you didn't.
out there. I did go there. So make sure that your windshield is clear and that A&A Glass has replaced it. Of course, they're easy to get to, 217 22nd Avenue, or as Rob likes to say, Cedar Ward Parkway. Just 2 doors down from the Meridian Children's Museum. A&A Glass is the #1 glass replacement company in town. Have been for over a decade, 10 years running. They must be doing something right. They're open 8 to 4 Monday through Friday, and they will beat any price in town and work with your insurance company. A&A Glass, and this time of year with the sun as bright as it is important to get those little cracks repaired before they become a big crack and then you can't see. Go see them, Adam and Adam, down at A&A Glass, 217 22nd Avenue, 601-693 Glass.
All right. It's Mornings in Meridian. We're so glad you're out there. We want you to be part of the show. But right now, we have a guest coming up here. So, Rob, please tell us, who do we have for Decision 2023? Our next contestant
Of the Choquet Showdown.
Come on down.
Wow. We've got Ty Pinkins. Of course, he is running for the office of Secretary of State here in Mississippi. So good morning to you, sir. Glad you could join us here on Mornings in Meridian.
Happy to be here with you guys. So excited about this morning.
I tell you what, you're the first person that I've ever really heard say that you're excited to be with us. So thank you for that. All right. All right, let's get acquainted with Ty Pinkins. You are running for a state office, which is the state
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State.
Yes, sir.
For a pretty significant office. Tell us where you are from and a little bit about your resume. What have you done in life up to now?
Well, I was born and raised. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to come on your show this morning. I really appreciate it. Love being in Meridian whenever I come over. But born and raised in Rolling Fork in the Mississippi Delta over in Sharkey County. First person in my family to graduate high school. My mom dropped out of school when she was 15 years old to give birth to me. My dad had already left in the 6th grade. So
that's the community that had the tragedy.
Yes, sir.
The
had a
tornado. Oh my word! Hope your family is okay over that way.
They're getting back together. They're getting it together, and I think it's going to be a long road for that community. They're working and they're trying to get there, and we see a lot of people coming in and a lot of organizations coming in to help out. But they're getting back on their feet.
But you still have people over there?
Oh, all my family's there.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
When that tornado hit, it came from the south, and the first community that it hit was a road called Pinkins Road. And on that road was about 13 homes, and it's been in my family for about 100 years. All 13 homes were destroyed. So,
oh mercy!
In about an hour, 95% of my family was homeless.
Wow!
And so now they're trying to build back slowly and get it back together.
Well, our prayers are with them.
So I was born and raised in that community. Went off to Tougaloo College for a few years, then joined the military. Loved it.
What branch?
Army. Served our country for 21 years.
Appreciate you doing that, by the way.
You're welcome. 3
Thank
combat
you,
tours. Yeah.
Hand that to our gentleman. You probably have.
A
You probably have one of those, but thank you.
I like it. 3 combat tours, 36 months at war. I got awarded the Bronze Star for actions in my first tour. My military career culminated in Washington, D.C., where I served Republican and Democratic presidents in the White House. Did that, retired, and walked across town and enrolled into law school, where I learned my JD, my law degree at Georgetown University Law Center, as well as my LLM, my master's in law, focusing in national security law. And then after I graduated, I sold my house in Maryland, right outside of D.C., pointed myself south, and came right back to Mississippi and started putting those law degrees to work in the Delta in some of our most underserved communities. And now I'm running for Secretary of State.
I was about to say, what else have you done in life?
That's it.
That's
I mean,
it.
come on, whatever.
I was going to talk about all my little
Just
jobs.
a little something.
A little something, yeah.
I guess I won't be talking much about what I do. No.
Not embarrassed.
You had You talked about coming back. Do you have a private law practice, or are you part of a group that practices law? Or
No, when I went into law school, my law school career and venture is rooted in how I was raised in the Mississippi Delta. Didn't come from much. We grew up in poverty, and as I mentioned earlier, neither of my parents got a formal education, and so I saw and lived in and grew up in a situation where a lot of people really couldn't afford access to our justice system. And so me going into law school was rooted in those experiences. So when I graduated, I knew that I wanted to go in what's called public interest law, nonprofit law. So I started working at the Mississippi Center for Justice, which is a nonprofit law firm
I see.
in Jackson. But I was based in the Mississippi Delta. So I worked as a free lawyer in 6 of the poorest counties in the Delta, helping people who were being evicted in the middle of winter, in the middle of the pandemic, helping them stay in their homes, and then helping low-income workers who had been getting cheated out of their pay by businesses, making sure that they got legal representation, and just on a fundamental and a foundational level, helping low-income communities understand what they were actually going through when they got pulled into court, so they don't stand there and you don't even know the players in the courtroom. So just explaining that situation to them and pointing them in the direction of representation.
Okay. So, and you said in the military or in Washington, you served under 2 presidents. What kind of jobs did you have with these? Who were the presidents, and what kind of job did you have?
Well, I served under President Obama, and I served under President Trump. And so, as an active duty officer, one of the unique things about the White House is most of the people in the White House are military members, whether that be the Air Force, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, or Coast Guard. And one of the unique things about those positions is when the presidency changes, we stay there and we watch everything transition. So I served as communications aide to the presidents, and that meant that whenever he moved, I served on a 4-man team. Whenever he moved, one of us had to move. If he flew to Connecticut or China, one of us was there. If he slept in the White House, one of us was sleeping in the White House.
So you moved a lot.
Moved a lot. Moved a lot. But that was the role that I played. And for me, being a boy from Mississippi and from the Mississippi Delta, I thought that was a unique experience. Even wrote a book about it.
Oh, really? What's the book?
23 Miles and Running, My American Journey from Chopping Cotton in the Mississippi Delta to Sleeping in the White House.
All right, 23
miles and running.
23 miles and running. Okay.
Very good. All right. That's I'm assuming we can Amazon that. Or,
you can. It's on Amazon. Yeah.
Very good.
Right? Or we can follow you to your car and you have several copies there or something.
Actually, you know what? I have a couple copies, and I'm going to bring one back for you.
That's the way it's done, fellas.
All right.
That's the way it's
We like
done.
free stuff.
That's the
Bags
way
of
it's
money
done.
or a book, either way.
Boy, I should run for office.
Still talking about that.
No.
Coroner.
No.
Too late.
Well, I think that's outstanding, though. The stories, and when after the election, I want you to come back and let's talk about the stories and
I'd
see
love to. I'd love to.
about some of the stories in your book. That'd be a great interview. I think.
I'd love to. I spent 13 years in Europe. In addition to those 3 combat tours, a couple of years in Japan on the island of Okinawa, and the things that I've seen and the people that I've met over those couple of decades.
Yeah.
It reminded me and really kind of shined the light on this is the best country in the world, the United States of America. There's nothing like this place that we call America. And there's
as much as we complain.
As much as we complain. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and this democracy that we have. It's a beautiful thing. It's fragile, but we have to play a role in it because I've been in places where they don't have this. They don't have a space to argue, to talk about and discuss our differences, and then come out on the other end on a day and say, you know what, I'm gonna either agree with this person or I'm gonna disagree with that person, and the next day I'm going to work and I'm gonna let the process work again for 4 years. We have a unique system, and I love it because of the experiences I had in the military and living all over the world and meeting people who don't have this privilege.
So what led you to the decision to run for Secretary of State in Mississippi?
You know what? Previously, there was another gentleman, and I'll give him a shout out. Shawaski Young was he won the primary, and in late August he had to drop out because of health reasons.
Okay.
And I had been running for a different position earlier than that, from January all the way up to August. I was running for U.S. Senate. And I look at the state of Mississippi and I think about the fact that no people have fought harder for voting rights than Mississippians, black and white. Nobody. I'll put that up against anybody, any state in this country. No state people have fought harder for voting rights. And we know the Secretary of State's office it actually is over elections. And to think that Mississippians would go to the polls on November the 7th and potentially not have two people that they can choose from. It's not about Republican and Democrat or independent. It's not about black or white. But our democracy says voters deserve a choice.
There you go.
They deserve a choice. And it's not about, as a candidate for me, getting in a race with only 40 days left where everybody else had 10 months to run. It's not about making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and you have a plethora of money saved up in the bank. What it's about is giving voters a chance, a choice in our democracy. And that's why I got in the race, because I think people deserve a choice.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what we were talking about even before the show started. It was, that's what we are about. When you see, it is complimentary to candidates if they're unchallenged. I mean, that shows that maybe there's a certain satisfaction there, most likely. But it is all about choosing.
It is.
It's that's what the vote is for, is to go and choose.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you're here, and of course, what are some of the things that you want to bring to the Attorney General's office in addition to that?
Secretary of State.
Excuse me, Secretary of State's office. I was thinking attorney. That's why you're here. Thank you. Keep me straight.
You're welcome.
Hi, where am I? Are we having oatmeal today?
Well, Secretary of State's office, I think a lot of voters may not understand the different roles and how important that position is. This is the third highest position in our state. We got governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, and then attorney general falls beneath that. But that office oversees so many important areas in our state and our society. We all know that the Secretary of State's office is responsible for processing people trying to start charities and nonprofits. That's obvious. And the Secretary of State's office, you want to start a small business, an LLC, you're going to deal with the Secretary of State's office.
Got to go this.
That office controls our public lands, lands that are owned by Mississippi and owned by us, taxpayers. But I think the two roles that are very unique in the Secretary of State's office is, one, his responsibility in creating relationships with business leaders and industry leaders. We're last in unemployment, right? Near last, 40, 50, 49, 48. Economic development, job creation. We've been there for a while, where we've been at the back of the line. There's just this saying that I don't like when I hear from other states. Thank God for Mississippi. And you know what they're getting at.
Picks a little scab, doesn't it?
Yeah. And so that's one of the roles that the office is responsible for, creating relationships with business and industry leaders to create economic development all over our state. But if we're serious about moving Mississippi from the back of the line to the middle of the pack to the front of the line, we have to face a difficult thing that's been staring us in our face for a long, long time. And that is underinvestment in the Mississippi Delta. We are not going to move from the back of the line unless we take care of that problem. It's an area where unemployment is the highest, not only in the state, but in the country. Poverty is the highest, not only in the state, in the country. If we want to improve Mississippi's standing with regard to economic development, unemployment, we have to focus on investing in and creating jobs in the Mississippi Delta. Other than agricultural jobs, we can grow anything in it. Beans, greens, tomatoes, potatoes, we can grow it in the Delta. But we have to figure out how to, that piece of the puzzle. And the second most important thing, the most important thing that the Secretary of State's office does is over elections. And this kind of ties into the Secretary of State's office with regard to the role of research and development. And that's is two words that people don't really pay attention to, but that research and development component of it plays a huge role in our legislative process. The Secretary of State's office is responsible for researching and developing ways to streamline our services that come from our state government. government, but also helping to develop legislation along with our legislators to create better services. For instance, 41 states, we only got 50. 41 states in our country have implemented what's called online voter registration. In Mississippi today, we're still using pen, paper, and postage stamps for people to register to vote. In 2023, 47 states have implemented no excuse early voting. In Mississippi, you have to have an excuse to vote early. Now, 41 states and 47 states have written these roadmaps for us, and we haven't implemented them here in Mississippi, even though we have been fighting for voting rights longer than anybody else in this country. Then I think we need a change, and that's one of the reasons I'm running. And it ain't about Republican or Democrat or black or white. It's about making sure that all Mississippians have equal access and open access to the ballot box.
What kind of focus would you have on East Central Mississippi? Because you're talking to listeners there, and of course, while we are all Mississippians, we're going to be real concerned about what you think about us over here.
Yeah, I think all Mississippians deserve some attention at all times in business development, economic growth, ensuring that people have access to the ballot box. That's across the board. We're not talking about the Mississippi Delta. I'm talking about helping us move from the back of the line to the front line. But when you talk about East Central Mississippi, especially places like Meridian, there are so many opportunities to invite investors, business developers to areas like this because there's so much potential. There's so much potential.
We've been hearing about it for, 25 years that I've been doing it. So very good point.
Yeah.
We're going to finish our interview in just a moment, but first we want to talk about our sponsors. We invite you to vote for Ready to Roof when it comes to putting a roof on your home or business.
That's right. Our only award-winning local roofing company right here in Meridian, and they have qualified as Master Elite Certified Roofing. Sounds pretty impressive, and it is. Only 2% of all roofing contractors in the nation have qualified as Master Elite Certified. So when you call Ready to Roof, getting a good quality roof. Of course, it's easy to set up an appointment. You can go online at ready2roof.com or give them a call 601-573-1150. And what I like about Ready to Roof is financing options. They will finance your new roof low monthly payments. Give them a call today, 601-573-1150, or of course check them out online, ready2roof.com.
Yeah, getting back to the voter registration, would it be something electronic? Is that kind of what you're proposing would be a good option for folks who are not registered to vote? Would that be something like on a smartphone, computer, something like that? Is that what we're kind of looking at? How are the other states doing this as far as registering to vote?
That's fascinating. Yeah. We can go online and I can apply for a credit card online.
Right.
I can apply for a loan for a car or a house online. I can apply for Social Security benefits online using my Social Security number. Right. But I cannot do that fundamental thing that our Constitution promises me to register to vote. So here's what I think we do. We have 41 other states that have written a roadmap. We don't have to do the work.
Are there a lot of states in the South that do this?
Yes, absolutely.
Already?
There are Republican and Democratic states that have already written a roadmap for us.
Wow.
We go and we're a conservative leaning state. Find the Republican state, the conservative leaning state that does it the best, that has already figured out how to do it securely and safely for people, for community members, and implement that model right here in Mississippi and allow people to register to vote using their cell phones or using their computer online. I think that's common sense. And if, as legislators, if you can't figure that out, if so many other secretaries of state around this country has figured it out, if you can't figure that out, something is wrong. You should not be in that position, and that's why I'm not saying that my opponent, something wrong with my opponent, but I'm saying if you can't figure that out, if you have 41 other examples, then yeah.
I think the big concern with that is voter fraud, and how do we eliminate that? How do we we want everyone to have a fair election, and I know that's obviously been in the news the last few years, but that's the touch point on that issue.
Here's what I think about the voter fraud issue. One, when people mention it, I say we have a judicial system that says if you get a traffic ticket and you have to go to court, or if you shoot somebody and you have to go before our judicial system. If you steal something, you rob a bank and go before our judicial system. There's a record of that, a public record of that. Mm-hmm. And so I tell people, show me the receipts. Where is all the voter fraud at? Because here's my concern, and what I see happening sometimes is as elected officials, they let their fear force them to make things harder for everyday Mississippians. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's the easy way out. When it comes to voting, instead of them saying something like voter fraud, and as a trigger to that, they make things harder for voters, you need to do the hard work and make it easier for voters to participate in that process as opposed to doing the easy wrong and making it harder.
Right. All right. In 20 seconds, what do you want to tell our listeners?
November the 7th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Ty Pinkins for Secretary of State. You can follow me on all of my social medias, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, at TYPINKINS. Please vote for Ty Pinkins for Secretary of State. Thank you for letting me come on your show.
Glad to have you here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being here. We'll take a break. We'll then come back, and Michael Cassidy will be joining us in the next segment. Down, Alabama.
Man, appreciate Ty with this book here. That's awfully nice.
Well, we got
Gotta hold it up here now.
Yeah,
give him a little plug. Thank you.
23 miles and running.
Yeah.
Ty Pinkins' book there. Take Me Down. That's has a little different connotation there in the Alabama song than it does, say, like on Cops or some other show. What's the one you like to watch on Friday night?
Oh, not Live PD. It's a different name now.
Yeah, gotcha.
Okay. Never seen it.
Roger here along with Rob, also Charles.
Yep.
And we have our next guest here in just a moment. But first, let's remind folks where they need to go to, well, I'm just guessing they need to go here to make sure they get their plumbing flowing properly.
Plumbing flowing properly is a good thing, I think.
Yep.
And there's only one place to go in town, and that's Barber and Sons Plumbing, 1123 26th Avenue. You can give them a call at 601-482-7023. They've been in business for over 80 years, so I think at this point they probably know what they're doing. If you need any kind of plumbing part at all, they have it, and they have it in stock. All you need to do is take a picture of the part that's broken, show it to Gary, and he will fix you up, sell you the right part, even show you how to repair it, and then send you on your way. You don't have to wander around a big box store looking for aisle 47, bin 32. You get the wrong part, you got to bring it back after waiting in line. Nope. Barber & Sons, one-stop shopping. 1123 26th Avenue, 601-482-7023.
All right, he is a candidate for State Representative District 45 right here in our area and other counties as the map grows.
Wow.
Good Lord. He was
Yes.
explaining the map to me. My mind just went.
Yeah, my mind always does that.
We're glad to have a candidate, and, well, he's the candidate who came pretty close to unseating for Republican primary the candidate Michael Guest for the state race. So I don't know if you want me to bring that back up, but I'm giving you are military, you're Navy, you're a test pilot for the Navy, and we're just glad you're here, Michael Cassidy.
Thanks, Roger. Glad to be back. Oh,
Yep, sorry.
Wow.
Glad to be back.
yeah.
He got an intro there.
Yep. Ta-da. So yes, so here you are. You're staying in it. You're putting your name out there. You're running the race. You're knocking on doors.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So let me talk about the district a little bit. We alluded to it earlier. It's an odd looking duck. It goes from basically Kiowani on Alabama border in Lauderdale County all the way up to Winston County, southwest Winston County, just west of Noxapater. And it is, it's about 23,000 people. Going to have probably about 7,000 to 8,000 votes total for this election. It's going to depend on turnout. So everybody out there listening, please make a plan to go vote tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Also for
Does it include some of the people inside the city of Meridian, or
good question. There's a very small amount inside the city of Meridian. Yeah, so it's just north of 26th Street. I think north of 26th, south of 31st, west of 39, and the western edge is the high school. That's the western edge. Then you go up 39. It's the east side of 39, including Marion, goes up to the Winn-Dixie. The Winn-Dixie on the north side of Winn-Dixie ain't the district. West side of 39 ain't the district. And then it just keeps going up 45 past Dalewood. If you're going into the Navy base, if you get to the front gate, you turn left, not the district. You turn right, you're in the district.
But if you weave this way around the fork in the road, it might be that.
Exactly. Don't make a left there, make a right, and you're in the district.
Roger, did you get all that?
did somebody say at one point, "Hey, let's mess with the people in District 45"?
Oh, watch this. Hold my beer.
Watch this line.
I know what it was like. It was one late night in the legislature. We got one more district to draw.
Let's make it a doozy. Yeah. Wow.
But no, it's good to know that, because you do have a good number of people in that district that are in Lauderdale County, and then subsequently just across the line in Kemper County.
That's correct. And they did a little bit of redistricting a couple years ago, and so some of the lines did shift. The way that this district used to be, it was heavily Democratic, and the incumbent Michael Ted Evans, he ran unopposed as a Democrat in 2015 and unopposed in 2019 as well. But when they did some redistricting, they took a whole bunch of Kemper County out, and they brought in much more of Winston County and some of the northwest parts of Neshoba County. and it's much closer to be a 50-50 race. And so that's really what got me looking into this race. Is I saw Mr. Evans decided not to run again for this seat, so it's an open seat, and it's about with the changing of the boundaries. It is a very competitive seat, so that's why I've been hustling the past few months. I've made it to almost 3,000 houses.
Whoa!
So that's if they're about, I think, 1.5, 1.7 voters per household, that's probably about 4,500 to 5,000 people. And again, it's looking like 7,000 to 8,000 people will be voting total. Hopefully it's over 8. Hopefully we get a big turnout this Tuesday, but that's the historical average will be about 7,000 to 8,000 people.
All right, so you'll have precincts in Lauderdale, Kemper, Noxubee, and Winston County.
Not Noxubee.
Oh, not Noxubee.
Neshoba.
Okay.
Yeah,
Neshoba.
Winston, Neshoba.
That's
I know.
Noxapater.
Yeah, Noxapater.
It's a Knox.
I had the Knox. That's what it was.
You got that.
Yeah.
Hard Knox.
So precincts in Lauderdale, Kemper, and Neshoba, and parts of Winston.
Yes, just a little bit of Winston.
Okay, so there you go. Well, folks, let's talk about what you're telling the people. You're knocking on doors. What are you telling them why they need to vote for Republican candidate Michael Cassidy?
So it's two big things. The first thing is cutting taxes, and that's the first thing that I bring up is cutting taxes. And the one that we can end completely is the grocery tax, the tax on food, and it only brings in, I think, a little bit less than $300 million in revenue for the state. And we had a pretty big surplus this past year. And we can, we're not a communist country. We're not going to set the price of food, but we can have policies, especially at the state level. We don't have that much influence on the price of food. That's much more, inflation at the federal level, Federal Reserve and all that. But at the state level, we can help cut the tax, and we can get that down 7%, which it may just be a few cents here and there. But I know, I was at the Winn-Dixie a month and a half ago or so, and I had a bill for, let's call it, I think $95, $96, and that 7% tax made it go to $100, over $100. And that's a psychological thing, for one, but also just the way that, again, prices are going up. It's tough on families, and we should not be putting barriers between essentials, between food and people, as the economy is kind of just sputtering along. So that's the big tax. I'd like to get the income tax on a path to elimination. It provides so much more revenue than the grocery tax, however, that if we cut it all at once, then we risk going into debt. And we don't want to be like the federal government and just because we can't print our own money in Mississippi. And if we cut it up gradually, like over, say, 2.5, 3 years, we can get that down to zero, be more competitive with states like Florida, Tennessee, Texas that don't have an income tax. People keep more of their own money. They invest it in Mississippi. We get more sales tax, higher property taxes, and or not higher taxes, but more revenue from the tax because we've got more money.
We've heard some of this rhetoric from Jackson through the representatives and the governor or the lieutenant governor and the Senate, that kind of thing. Do you have personal contact with other representatives to have a feel of how much support you would have on these measures?
I believe that there is significant support, certainly for the grocery tax across the aisle. Republicans and Democrats both think this in general. The income tax is more Republican, looking to get rid of the income tax, but we've got a supermajority of Republicans in the House and the State House and the State Senate. We've got a Republican governor, a Republican lieutenant governor. We'll see how the cards play out tomorrow, what happens there. But I think we can get this done. I'm not looking to go to Jackson just to, collect a paycheck and be on my phone during committee hearings. Like, I want to fight. I want to do stuff.
Sure.
So I talked about the taxes. That's the first thing I usually bring up. But the issue I'm a bit more passionate about, I bring up next, is the bringing more Christian values back into society. And so we can do that with voluntary prayer and getting 10 commandments back on public display. Because we've been taking God out of our country for decades. And it has, I don't think anybody can say it's had a good effect in our country. So
Oh, that's my bad. He didn't say a bad word, folks. I just had the button turned up. No, so please continue. Yes, values.
And so what made me start thinking about this was last year when when the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. The reason that happened is because of a Mississippi law back in, I think it was 2019, that was able to then, it got challenged by the lawyers. It took a couple of years, but it made it up to the Supreme Court, and we got it changed. And I think we can do the exact same thing with voluntary prayer in schools, because that's something that we're not going to punish anybody if they want to be quiet, if they want to get out of the room during the prayer. But it's time that we acknowledge that there's no such thing as a values neutral education. There are always going to be values being taught. And by taking prayer out of schools, we're putting something else in. And it's not as if it's just a blank space. So we need to be more proactive and get that back into schools.
All right. And when you say voluntary, what's the condition right now for children in schools? They just can't be caught praying, or what's the current the rules on that?
I mean, daily organized prayer. So it'd be whether it would be a administrator, a teacher, principal, somebody like that. That there'd be like when I was in school, we do the Pledge of Allegiance every morning after, and this. It only started after 9/11, actually, for me, at least in my high school. And if people didn't want to say it, then they could leave the room. They could be quiet. Nobody was punished, but it was something that was led, I think, by somebody over the PA system from the principal's office, a student probably.
Yeah.
And I think, Mississippi, I think we could find somebody who would want to lead that prayer at just about every school in the state.
All right, so the prayers, those are kind of two big prongs on your campaign fork to really try to put out there. You want to lower the taxes, or grocery tax specifically, with the intention of hopefully, something happening later with the state income tax, and then prayer in schools. So are you hearing, when you're knocking on doors, I'm sure you run across some educators, a teacher or two, what are they saying about all of this?
What's remarkable is that when I go to doors, you get a wide range of responses from people. And some people, they see me come into the door and they say, you got my vote. There's some people that say, I ain't voting for you. There's some people that they just kind of want you to say the 10, 20 seconds that you're going to be talking and then get moving down the road. And that happens a lot. And that's okay. But when I talk about taxes, people, they're just listening. Like everybody wants to keep more of their own money, but it's not something that people are they're not as many people that are truly passionate about, cutting taxes. But when I bringing prayer back into schools, that's something that lights up people's eyes. They think, yeah, why haven't we done this? Why hasn't anybody talked about doing this? Where are the politicians with backbone to bring this up? And to some degree, it's not necessarily that people, I'm not trying to call out other politicians out here. It's simply that we need a little more imagination, and we need it to have a little bit more outside the box thinking with how we can get things done, and not just accept the way things are as the way that they need to be. So that's really the big bit of energy that I want to bring to Jackson should I be elected.
All right. We're visiting with Michael Cassidy. He's a candidate for Representative District 45, kind of near us and then to infinity and beyond.
a little bit here, a little bit there.
A little bit there.
Yeah.
But first of all, let's talk about one of our sponsors. We are so thankful to have people that help make this show possible so you can hear Michael Cassidy. People like
Jeffrey Wilson, State Farm.
He should run for something.
He's running to be your insurance agent. I'll tell you what, he's running to be mine. But here's the deal. If you want to save $889, how would you like to save $889?
That's huge.
Huge. I'd love to. Well, when you bundle State Farm home and auto insurance, you can save an average of $889. Of course, Jeffrey Wilson is ready to help you combine both of those right here in Meridian. Give him a call, 601-483-8253. And State Farm's motto, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And Jeffrey Wilson is like a good neighbor. In fact, when you get insurance from him and State Farm, He'll give you his phone number. If you have any issues, you just call him day or night. He's probably listening and going, Garone, all right. But yes, you can. And that's the beauty of it is you have a relationship with your insurance agent. And he will also sit down with you once a year and kind of evaluate all your insurance needs, make adjustments where needed. Sometimes that's less, sometimes that's more. But whatever you need, he will make sure you have it. Because when you need insurance, you really need it. You want to make sure you have the appropriate coverage. 601-483-8253. Jeffrey Wilson, State Farm.
All right, we're visiting with Michael Cassidy. We're going to come back just real briefly. Got a quick break, and then we're going to come back and finish that visit. If you have any questions, you certainly call in. He's not scared. He'll answer any question you got. That's just the way he rolls. I mean, he's a test pilot, for Pete's sake. So he's not scared. All right, we'll be right back. Tomorrow is the election.
Is this your official, like, getting serious election day music?
That's my. And now, welcome back to Decision 2023.
Oh, is that what we have tomorrow?
Yeah, that's
I'm
what
calling in sick. I'm not feeling it.
So, we're glad to have a candidate for state representative, District 45. We got Michael Cassidy in the house. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
And of course, as we are moving down the time here, we have a few minutes. Let's talk about more of what you got the two main topics you're talking about. But what are some other things you'd like to see happen in Mississippi as a result of you being a representative?
I'd like to get term limits legislation in, both at the
that'd be good.
both at the state and federal level. That one thing that is. I don't believe that our founders really wanted people to be in one office their entire life, or for decades. They wanted them to be in, hey, a little bit, you can go and do something else, let's say, after a little bit. But once you're entrenched in one particular office, whether it be mayor, whether it be state senator, governor, you kind of lose touch of the people. You kind of lose touch of wanting to change things, and now not everything needs to be changed.
But for some reason, the longer you stay in office, you're able to get in touch with people that finance you. It's really pretty cool.
It's pretty remarkable. Right. Yeah. If you're looking for a paycheck, then certainly looking for a lobbyist gig once you get out. That I don't know how much that happens at the Mississippi level, but I seem to see that happen a whole lot up in Washington D.C.
But as a state representative, what really control would you have on a federal level?
So for term limits, Mississippi's got the ability, just like every other state, to call for a convention of the states to talk about amendments to the Constitution. And there are a bunch of states that are considering, if they haven't already called for one of these U.S. constitutionally provided means to get actual term limit legislation for Congress. And that's something that we can also do at the state level for Mississippi. So that we do have the states, the federal government is made up of the states. It's not just simply a pure top down from Washington, D.C. It's a grouping of the 50 states. So the states do maintain some sovereignty at least.
It's interesting. We have term limits for the chief executive officer of our government. And for the governors, for example, the chief executive officers for the states. But some term limits for representatives or senators. Yeah, that's kind of what you're thinking is that, early on we had farmers and lawyers and business people that came to Washington, made policy, and went back to work, and then come and convene as needed. Kind of like what we do in Mississippi right now, what you would be doing as a Mississippi representative. But yet you have the privilege of being able to run each 4 years for that office. So term limits, I don't know, a lot of people debate that back and forth, but it's gaining some popularity, I think.
To me, it's common sense. I mean, to me it is. So, but anyway.
Yeah, well, I think when you look at the negative connotations or the negative results of not having them, then that's the best argument you have. Now, of course, you do have some politicians who become career politicians, very powerful, and they are sometimes best suited for that role. But guess what? Find another role within the government if that's the case. You're a senator, then run for representative or governor or whatever that's going to be. Yeah, exactly.
So you can
if
continue
you are
to
that
serve
effective in government, right?
That's what makes the swamp a little swampier.
That's
a
pretty
term
sloppy
limit.
right now.
All right. Well, we're going to finish this in review in just a second, but first, real quick, we do not vote term limits for your business machine representative. We invite you to please choose Purvis to be your lifetime business machine.
Well,
person.
and as far as buying business machine goes, it doesn't have a term limit. It just keeps going and going. It's like the Energizer Bunny of copiers. And, of course, they sell them there. They have lease return color copiers at Purvis Business Machines. You can save up to 85% of those. And that's pretty good if you're paying just 15% of retail. And, of course, the big thing about Purvis is they offer complete networking service and document management solutions. And I know everybody has networking issues. I do, and they're the ones to help you. Give them a call, 601-693-COPY, or check them out online, gopurvis.com. Of course, they've got a wonderful showroom. It's so clean, Roger even eats off the floor.
If I spill something, I'll do it. I'll clean it right up.
Take it right up. Yeah, it's fine.
Don't have a problem with that.
They don't like that. They're like, oh, here comes Roger. And lock the door. 4505 Highway 39 North. Go check them out. Purvis Business Machine, service not excuses since 1979.
All right, we got busy and we didn't talk about your resume, but you are Michael Cassidy, and you are a military member. Is that right?
That's right. I'm still in the Navy Reserves. I was active duty from 2009 to 2020. In the past 3 years, I've been in the reserves here in Meridian.
All right. Well, thank you for your service for that. And anything else you'd like to say in the last minute we have, something you want to say to our listeners?
I know we've been saying it a lot, but it remains important. Election day is tomorrow. Please make a plan to vote. Absentee voting is over, so you have to go to your local precinct in order to vote. And it's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. As long as you're in line by 7 p.m., you can vote. The turnout is going to be the biggest thing that decides who wins this race. So please, your friends, your family, get out to the polls. The two big issues that I'd like to leave the listeners with is cutting taxes, voluntary prayer back in schools. Those are the big things I'm going to fight for if you elect me to be your next representative in District 45.
All right. And Michael Cassidy, that's it. And because he is a test pilot for the
how appropriate.
We're going to end with that. So
He's rolling his eyes.
Thank you.
Let's meet here tomorrow. What do you say?
For Election Day.
We'll do it.
We've been talking about November 7 for weeks and months.
Years.
It's here tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow.